Good morning. Welcome to a special edition of This Week from Vietnam. On edge, with trouble brewing across the globe from North Korea to Iran, Afghanistan to Syria, we're traveling with America's top diplomat, the globe-trotting Secretary of State, John Kerry. What can he do to keep the peace abroad and keep Americans safe at home? And how did his experiences at war here in Vietnam shape his worldview? It's an ABC News exclusive. Plus, the Republican free-for-all.
I don't care what they do. Are you kidding me?
With Speaker Boehner in all-out war against the Tea Party, who will win the fight? Newt Gingrich and Robert Reich join the Powerhouse Roundtable to break it all down. It's all right here this Sunday morning.
A special edition of This Week with Martha Raddatz in Vietnam and Jonathan Karl in Washington starts right now.
Hello again. I'm Martha Raddatz. Great to have you with us from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, where we're on the road with Secretary of State John Kerry, tracking developments here in the region, including the stunning events in North Korea, where the leader, Kim Jong-un, has executed his uncle and mentor. We're also following several other developing stories this morning, including the funeral service for Nelson Mandela. Prince Charles and Jesse Jackson are among the guests for the private ceremony in Mandela's home village this morning, capping a 10-day goodbye to the former South African president. Meanwhile, back here in the city, formerly known as Saigon, this is the first trip here for Secretary of State John Kerry since the Vietnam veteran took on his new post. It's been a busy first year for the son of a foreign service officer who's now the top American diplomat. Just this week, a dramatic shift in Syria. Is al-Qaeda gaining ground there? Plus those alarming new revelations over an American being held in Iran. But we started off with that shocking move by North Korea's young dictator, which has rattled governments throughout the region. Mr. Secretary, I want to get right to reports out of North Korea that the young leader, Kim Jong-un, has executed his uncle, his mentor, one of the most powerful people in North Korea. What does this tell you about the danger coming from North Korea?
Well, it tells us a lot about, first of all, how ruthless and reckless he is, and it also tells us a lot about how insecure he is to a certain degree. It tells us a significant amount about the instability internally of the regime with the numbers of executions. This is not the first execution. There have been a significant number of executions taking place over the last months, which we're aware of. And most importantly, it underscores the importance for all of us of finding a way forward with North Korea in order to denuclearize the peninsula. It's an ominous sign of the instability and of the danger that does exist.
What does it tell you about him? We know so little about him.
We don't know. I mean, North Korea remains relatively opaque. It is not easy, but we do have insights. And the insights that we have tell us that he is spontaneous, erratic, still worried about his place in the power structure and maneuvering to eliminate any potential adversary or competitor, and does so obviously ruthlessly. I mean, you saw the pictures of his uncle being arrested in front of everybody at this
and this was so
meeting.
public.
I mean, it really reminded me of a video that we saw of Saddam Hussein doing the same thing, having people plucked out of an audience and people sitting there sweating and nobody daring to move or do anything. This is the nature of this ruthless, horrendous dictatorship and of his insecurities. And I think we need to factor that into the urgency of getting China, Russia, Japan, South Korea, all of us, to stay on the same page and to put as much effort into the denuclearization as possible. To have a nuclear weapon potentially in the hands of somebody like Kim Jong-un just becomes even more unacceptable.
I want to move to the other headline, which is out of Iran, and Robert Levinson, the FBI agent who was reportedly working with the CIA in Iran, disappeared 7 years ago. His family has confirmed to ABC News that he did have ties to the CIA. I know you're not going to confirm anything like that, but I want to tell you what his family said. They say that the U.S. government has abandoned and betrayed him and is getting lip service from the Obama administration on their efforts for his release. Has there been any real progress?
Well, there hasn't been progress in the sense that we don't have him back, but to suggest that we've abandoned him or anybody has abandoned him is simply incorrect and not helpful. The fact is that I have personally raised the issue, not only at the highest level that I have been involved with, but also through other intermediaries. So we don't have any meeting with anybody who has something to do with Iran or an approach to Iran where we don't talk to them about how we might be able to find not just Mr. Levinson, but we have two other Americans that we're deeply concerned about.
Do you have
we're looking
any...
for proof of life. We're working on several processes that I'm not free to talk about, but there are a number of different channels that are being worked, and they're being worked aggressively.
Do you believe the Iranian government is responsible for his disappearance?
I think the Iranian government, I can't tell you what happened or how the sequence was, but I think the Iranian government has the ability to help us here, and we hope they will.